Hi, I'm Jan Doyle. Welcome to Classroom Connections. For a long time now, I read the New Haven Register faithfully, religiously, and I've been reading a column about gardening because I have a sincere interest in it. And I was reading it a month ago, and I thought, this is a perfect time to see if I can have the authors of the column come in and talk, because it's now planting season and how it can relate to children. So I called up, and I was so lucky to grab both of them. I'd like to welcome to the show Jude Chang and John Cox. Thank you so much. Now, your column appears in the New Haven Register, and we have a wonderful banner. Tell me a little bit about your Yukon Master Gardeners. Jude, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell me a little bit about what this all means?
Well, the Master Gardener program is a University of Connecticut program through the Extension Services, which are located in each county.
Mm-hmm.
And the program educates interested gardeners. They take a 9-month class, and for part of it, they are out doing outreach in community projects, and they also work in our extension offices answering questions that clients call in from all over the area, all sorts of gardening questions.
Now, what I notice in your columns is you always say to people, if you have this particular bug and you can't identify it, send it. How does a person send in a bug without squishing it? I always wondered that. This is a great time to ask you that.
Well, we suggest, I just got someone today who has some little bees that live in little holes in the ground, and we suggest, if they can catch the insect, to put it in, for instance, a little pill bottle, something like that, so that it won't get squished in the mail, and then they can send it to us in a little padded envelope or drop it by the office, and we will do our best to identify it and give them some information about whether it's something to worry about or, more likely, a harmless or even beneficial insect that they would like to keep around.
Oh, now that is a different twist on it. They want to keep the insect around. I was amazing. I felt that way about worms, that you should get rid of them, and then I since learned as an adult, no, you want worms in your garden. They aerate the soil. Aerate, not irrigate. I knew that. Now, you're affiliated with the University of Connecticut?
Yes, I am the coordinator for New Haven County, and that is my job. I work for the university.
Now, when you're a certified master gardener, is that a pathway to a position, or is that for volunteer, or what happens with something like that? If someone wants to take that particular class?
Well, a lot of people do it just because they're interested and they want to learn more about gardening or about other environmental subjects. And many master gardeners do work in nurseries or garden centers, which John and I happen to, but a lot of them are just hobbyists. And John can tell you some of the things he does as a result of taking the class.
Okay, well, what are some of the things you do, John?
I think one of the primary benefits of the program is that it creates a cadre of educated volunteers, people who can go out on behalf of the University of Connecticut, as well as in their communities, helping out on a variety of fronts. As an example, a couple of the things that I have been doing involve working in the area of community gardening in New Haven.
I've been reading about that in the paper. Yes. What have you been doing with the community garden?
The community garden program in New Haven, which is run by the New Haven Land Trust, is a fairly extensive program. There's about 50 community gardens, and
50 in New Haven? Yes. Oh, I had no idea. I thought it was like 1 or 2.
No, there's 50 in New Haven.
Oh, wow.
And it's funded by the Community Foundation, as well as the City of New Haven, and volunteers. Many of the gardeners there are well-intentioned people who want to grow food that they can eat or share with their neighbors, but they don't have an extensive background.
Right,
so there's always a need for people to go in and train them, help them. It's also the case that in many cases the community gardens are at the sites of elderly facilities. And older folks have less physical capabilities in some cases than others, and I know that in some cases the work I've been doing is rather mundane but important work in terms of bringing in compost and helping them set up beds and plant.
Very important. It's critical.
Oh, it is. And in many cases, these are people whose physical capabilities don't allow them to do that.
Right, right. But they love a garden.
They do, and they can benefit from the fresh produce it produces.
You know, my father was a gardener, and every year it got bigger. My mother would yell at him every year. But he and gentleman next door, they used to go out and watch their garden grow. And they would sit there and talk, and they have contests between their tomatoes. And it was just and they were seniors, and that was just a wonderful activity. Now this show is called Classroom Connections. And how does do children get involved in the community gardens?
In fact, there are some community gardens at schools, and the active teachers who are involved with the support, again, of volunteers, are able to teach young people about the science, the biology associated with growing, as well as provide them with food they can take home, which their families can enjoy. And so there's a number of schools.
Nice.
There's a number of schools in the city, and I'm sure in the suburbs, where that is the case. And they've married those two concepts, community gardening with schools, to provide great educational opportunities as well as to provide good food.
And they're allowed to take it home. Oh, that's fabulous. Because I just learned in our school we have a system, a new program, backpacks that with food. The children don't have enough. They identify children who literally are hungry and aren't getting food on the weekend, and they're sending home backpacks of food for the family.
Isn't that great?
It really is. You know, it's hard sometimes when you're in a certain lifestyle to understand that, but it is a really serious problem in a lot of communities. Now, if someone wanted to find out about you, Jude, how would they find out about your organization? Someone's watching this and they wanted to go, and where would they find out more about you?
Well, our office for New Haven County is located at 305 Skiff Street in North Haven. And we are a group of volunteers. I'll have about 20 different volunteers working primarily from May to September on shifts. And our new ones, the interns, will be mentored by more experienced master gardeners.
Oh, that's interesting.
So you can call in, and our number is 3168. And if we are not there at the time, just leave a detailed message, we'll call back. Often we have the answer right at our fingertips, or we can research it. We often can give people a website, and they can go and download information themselves. And we also have at the university, the Yukon Home and Garden Center is our backup. So the scientists there, there are people there available every day. If we get stuck on something, which we like to pride ourselves is very rare, they'll help us out with an identification. And they also produce a lot of literature and run other programs around
Oh, that's
the state.
Wonderful. I didn't want to interrupt you, but your website and your information appeared on the screen on the monitor while you were talking, so people can have easy access to
Right.
that. Now, now we want us to have a garden. Well, and one of the things that I was impressed when we were talking is, unlike my father's garden that took the entire backyard, you don't suggest that for people starting out and working with their children. What do you suggest?
We really encourage starting small.
Now, what does that mean, start
Well, you
small?
might start with a few containers, a few
Okay.
little vegetables in pots. If you have a nice sunny patio or a balcony or a backyard, but we don't want to see people digging up their whole backyard, because that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
Who's going to take care of it? Do you really like gardening? You don't want to do a lot of work and destroy your beautiful lawn and discover that maybe you'd rather go to the farmer's market. So we really encourage people to take a little time and think about, do they have the space? Do they plan to go away for a few weeks? Who would water the garden?
Now that was very interesting. You also said, and are they going to be around in August?
Yeah.
When they're going to be reaping the vegetables,
Right.
and that is a real consideration
Yeah.
for a lot of people.